Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have the pleasure today of speaking with writer, director, actress extraordinaire, Hannah Marks. Hannah, say hello to everybody.
Hello, and thank you for such a thorough introduction.
I like to be thorough, and you've done it all. You've done everything that you can talk about. We're here to talk about Mark, Mary, and some other people. I saw this back at Tribeca, but I rewatched it last night just to freshen up. It's still fantastic. Could you tell everybody about it? What it's about?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It is about a young couple that gets married a bit impulsively, and then one of them wants to try an open relationship and the other one doesn't, and the problems that ensue.
That pretty much narrows that down. Now, your cast is wonderful. Ben and Haley have fantastic chemistry together. What was that like on set with them, and why did you choose those two particular people?
Thank you. It was really a gut thing. I had been a fan of both of their works, that they didn't know each other. I didn't know them. But I was just such a fan. I mean, I love Ben in Boardwalk Empire and in 6 Years, and those characters are vastly different from each other. So I was very impressed at what a versatile actor he is, and also just how right for the role he seemed. And then same with Haley. I loved her in my friend's movie called Spontaneous. I thought she was such a scene stealer. And I also really wanted to cast a girl who was a real singer-songwriter. And I just think she's terrific at all of those things. So got really lucky.
I agree with you. She was the scene stealer and Spontaneous, as was her beautiful hair.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's some inspirations in there from some stuff you've done before. For example, I saw one of the last movies that you were acting in, Dinner in America, which I loved. You borrowed that Mark DeMarco song from that movie.
I did not. I was a fan of that song and wanted to use it, but it was funny that they used it very, very well in that movie. And I just, figured there was enough to go around.
It's a great song choice. Speaking of the music,
I actually wrote a whole movie based around that song called My Kind of Woman. I'm a big fan.
It's a great song. Speaking of the music here, which is wonderful, by the way, you've got the Fall Out Boy himself, Patrick Stumpon, as your composer. What a great choice. How was it working with him and the music he chose for this movie?
Yeah, I was so lucky. I mean, he's gifted. There's a lot of talented people out there, and he's really gifted, and he's incredibly versatile, himself as a musician. He can play pretty much anything, and he can sing, and he's just got a terrific voice. I got really lucky because he went above and beyond. I mean, he did more than he needed to. He wrote one of the songs for Mary's band and helped teach the girls to play it and sing it. And that was, not something that's of the typical composer requirement. So I felt incredibly grateful. And I think he made some really unique, cool choices. And we had a lot of fun developing the sound together.
You made some incredibly cool decisions as well from your seat as a director. It's got to be really fun to work with so much talent and be able to compile it all together and put it all together. But when I look at the film, one of the shining stars of it is your direction. Your eye behind the camera really puts it together for me. Could you explain your process with this film in particular?
Yeah, it was a lot about having fun and taking risks and challenging ourselves. There's certain aspects I hadn't worked with before, whether it was slow motion or using the body camera mount or, shooting all around Los Angeles or shooting music scenes. I hadn't directed band scenes before. And that was something that was a goal of mine because I love music videos and I love that medium. So it was really just about challenging ourselves and pushing ourselves to fit the theme, which ultimately was, a bit of a balance between old fashioned and traditional and being progressive and experimental. So just always kind of blending those ideas and seeing what comes from it was really the goal.
I love that because it is a very LA movie. You're right there. The LA has a sense of itself inside the movie. It's funny because when you look at the film and when you watch it, one of the best scene in the movie for me is the photo shoot scene because it has everything you want as a director. It's easy to shoot because it's just one thing. Mm-hmm. You have to have the timing right though, because if you cut it too short, maybe the comedy doesn't hit. If you leave it too long, then the comedy gets stale. You had a perfect amount of time on that scene. All the jokes are there, and you can really sense the chemistry between the two characters. Could you talk about with you as a director, the challenges of making sure you time every scene right so that the scene doesn't feel stale?
Yeah, I have to give a lot of credit to our editor, Andy Holton, who's a terrific editor. I'm such a fan of his. He cuts trailers primarily. And so he has such a great sense of pace and rhythm and music and style. He's got such a voice. And we naturally just really get each other. So sometimes there didn't need to be words. Like he got what I was going for with the shots. He kind of knew when I intended something for one moment versus another. So, you know, he's a friend of mine as well. So that always helps. But I loved him bringing kind of his trailer editing expertise into this movie and kind of creating something different, because everything always felt like you didn't know where it would go and the pace would shift, and sometimes it would slow down and then speed up. And he was really quite masterful at articulating all of that.
I love that. Now, this is a romantic comedy to an extent, but it's a very contemporary romantic comedy. And I feel like with this film, it's going to be one of the rom-coms that defines this contemporary time that we live in, because it is so unique in the way that it delivers the story. For you, are you a fan of the rom-com? I gotta ask.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Love to hear it. What are some of your favorites? Because we're huge on them here.
Yeah, I love When Harry Met Sally, of course. I loved, Knocked Up and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And gosh, there's so many good ones. I think Haley was just talking about Along Came Polly, and there's something about Mary. And I mean, I'm a big Ben Stiller fan. He kind of does everything I want to do. He writes, he directs, he produces, he acts. So I love people that can, combine in another element that's not just rom-com. I think there's a lot of people making some very cool choices in the genre, and it's time to expand it.
I love that. I love that decision that you picked to Ben Stiller, because his first film, Reality Bites, is very much a 90s film, whereas this is very much like a modern film. But it's going to transcend much like, I think this film is going to transcend much like Reality Bites did. When people watch it 10, 15 years from now, they're going to be like, man, that's what it was like to be in the 2020s. That's what that was like then.
Thank you. I hope so. It's like the fear is always like, oh, well, are we changing so fast that no one's going to think that this is relevant? But at the end of the day, we just had to go with our gut and go with what was true to our experiences of the time. And it'll either be a little capsule of that, or it'll grow, and, only time will tell.
I feel like a lot of the decisions you guys made, especially in post-production with the way the text messages and things are delivered, the style of the movie, that's what's going to transcend it and help it move forward in time as we go forward. You know what I mean? Because things can get really bogged down when you start talking about technology, but I think the cell phone's going to be infinite going forward, so. And that's really the only piece of tech that you can see in the film. Nothing else really gives you a sense that it's a modern film besides the fact that it takes place now.
Totally. And I guess I think of, movies like When Harry Met Sally, and I'm not thinking about how old the tech is in that movie. You're thinking about the actors and the characters. So
yeah, you're thinking about the chemistry between everybody that's going on there. I think that's
and sometimes it's fun to see, the devices of the past.
Yeah.
The nostalgia, like you said.
It's a little bit funnier. Now, we like to ask two very fun questions of anybody that we have in front of us, especially when we have somebody who's as talented as yourself who can do it all. Who are some people that you look at as inspirations?
Oh, goodness. I would say Marielle Heller, Greta Gerwig, Ava DuVernay, Tina Fey, Ben Stiller. Those are the people that immediately come to mind. I'm a big fan of actor turned directors, of course, because I started with an acting background, and it really excites me when I see actors doing it well.
Yeah, I can see that, and you pick some really good ones, especially like Greta and Ben. They're incredibly gifted and talented at both acting and directing, and I feel like you're next in that long line, because I'll be honest with you, I saw the movie, I saw that you were the one directing it, and I'm like, let's see what she's got, and the style you were able to deliver really gave me hope that whatever you do next is going to be just as good, and I think it will be. And so you did a fantastic job with this, and I want to talk about the script, because you wrote the movie as well too. There's a lot of good comedy in here. What was the process of getting that written? Because it's hilarious. Thank
you so much. I really tried to just take both parts of me. It really felt like Mark was one side of my brain and Mary is the other. I'm definitely traditional and old fashioned in some ways, and then in other ways I'm progressive and experimental and very liberal. And so to me, I'm like, what happens if I make myself two characters and have them talk to each other? So that was really the start of it. And then of course it expands as you open up your own worldview. And then I had actors in mind, of course, for characters, and that makes it easier to write.
Now I'm going to call you. Did you get all the actors you wanted for each role? Or
I think I did. I mean, I wanted, I had written that scene that Joe Latrulio is in for Joe. And then Gillian was a dear friend of mine. she immediately was like, "Can I play the gynecologist?" And I was like, "Great," because I was going to ask you, and it was nice that she came to me. It made me feel a lot better. So there were really fun, great comedy actors like that who I got very, very lucky to have, and it helps when you're shooting in LA.
Yeah, yeah, it usually does help with that. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other fun question that I always like to ask people: you're you can only watch two movies for the rest of your life. What two are you picking, and why?
Oh, that is a good question. Okay. I would say the first one is Catch Me If You Can.
Good choice.
I love that movie so much. I love movies that have so many genres in them. It makes them infinitely more watchable. I mean, there's a real character study happening there, and it's also an adventure and kind of a thriller and a drama and a comedy. It's got so much heart. It's got the whole period piece element to it. So that one I think that's a good one. And then
there's also two great lead performances in that movie too. So
oh yeah, it's all around terrific. And then I would say Inglorious Bastards.
Great choice. Great choice. That's a fantastic, again, a great acting movie. That's an ensemble piece more so though than anything. That's a fantastic movie. Great choices.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, I love that movie. It's the acting is terrific. The writing's terrific. I love the whole revisionist history aspect of it. And it's just so well crafted. And again, another movie that has very serious moments in it, of course, but also a ton of comedy. I mean, the last line of that movie is amazing, how like meta it is with it being his masterpiece. And I love the bold swings that it takes.
Oh yeah, and it takes a guy like that, a guy like Tarantino, to make a swing that bold and to try to hit it out of the park, and he absolutely does.
I also just loved his casting choices too. There's so many unexpected people. I would have never thought of BJ Novak throwing him in there. He's a terrific actor, but he's not necessarily someone I would immediately think to put in that movie.
Who sees Eli Roth as a Jewish man hunting Nazis? It's crazy.
I just love the imagination and the creative choices he makes. So often people are put in a box and he just destroys it.
well, let me ask you this, since we're talking about it. What's next for you? What do you want to do next? What do you have coming up?
So I just directed a movie in New Zealand for Amazon, which was a really great time. And I'm editing it right now, actually. This is my editing break. It's called Don't Make Me Go, and it's very, very different. It's a father-daughter drama. It's a road trip movie and very much about a parental relationship. So yeah, it was cool to have a 50-year-old leading man instead of, what I've normally done with my friends in my 20s. It was a nice challenge.
Can you give me some details on who's in the cast?
Yeah, so it stars John Cho. He's terrific. Yeah, John Cho, and then a newcomer who's wonderful named Mia Isaac playing his daughter. And then, Kaya Scodelario is in it, and Jermaine Clement, and trying to think. There's a lot of great actors in it. Mitchell Hope, a lot of wonderful actors, and a lot of New Zealand locals too.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you so much for your time. We only have a couple minutes left here, so I'm going to wrap it up by saying everybody needs to check out Mark, Mary, and some other people when it comes out this Friday. Am I right?
Yes.
This Friday?
November 5th.
Yes. I cannot wait for you guys to tell me how much you enjoy it, because I know that I did. It's been a pleasure speaking to the very talented Hannah Marks here today. Hannah, do you have anything else you want to tell everybody before we let you go?
No, just thank you so much. You're so nice. I hope we do this the next time around.
All you got to do is let me know, and I'll be here.
I'll find you on Twitter.
Yes, it's just my name there, and find us, and we're happy to follow you. We're going to put out a message that we were able to talk to you today too, so we look forward to it.
Thank you.
You guys heard her. Make sure you check out her new Amazon film when it comes out, starring John Cho. What was the title again?
Don't Make Me Go.
Don't Make Me Go. It should be out soon. Of course, she'll keep us posted. Thank you so much, Hannah. You have a wonderful rest of your day, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.